What up? It's Satsuki the Savage here, man. Just got finished reading the last fairy tale chapter, the latest fairy tale chapter, 544. Okay, so I was even looking to read this chapter, right? But I was just in my room, and my little brother had came in smiling, big ass smile, came in my room. It was like, check this out. Now, before this chapter came out, I was talking to my little brother because we have our little discussions about animes or whatnot, and we were talking about fairy tale, and I told him uh, my predictions on how this fight with Agnolia would end, with Natsu one shot at Agnolia, because it's fairy tale and it's no other way they would do it, especially with the last chapter with everybody giving him the powers. But I'll get into that later. But my prediction was Agnolia was going to get one shotted by Natsu, and then all the enemies, past enemies, would become friends. And I even said Kagura and Minerva might end up going shopping together in the last chapter. And this chapter, we got them doing like the comrade handshake or whatever. And all right, but let's get into the chapter. First, I didn't review the last two chapters because I didn't like how it was going. So, and it wasn't much to review because really all that happened in the last chapter was the fairy tale and the other guild members were looking to cast a spell, the fairy spear, on Agnolia, his outside body, and the in turn the human Agnolia was fighting the dragon slayers. So it wasn't really much to review. But onto this, we had all the dragon slayers get beat by Agnolia easily, easily. But of course, who do we have that rises above the occasion? Natsu Dragneel. Of course, he rises back up, has a speech about friends, and then what does the other dragon slayers that were defeated before do? They give Natsu his powers, give Natsu their powers, and a friendship power boost essentially. And this reminded me a lot of the fight with Hades, where everybody gave their power to Natsu, and he somehow was able to win, even though he wasn't the one to ultimately kill Hades. But you know, excluding that, we have the outside world. We have Lucy conveniently finding the book to cast Fairy Spear, like quick like that. Like the books fell over, and then she just rose up. I found the book. I found the book. Like, okay. And then we have everybody holding hands, cast a Fairy Spear, and it works on Agnolia, but he's banging his head against it, and he's about to break out. But then we have Meredy. Meredy, yes, use her link magic to gather all the power so the fairy spear will be strong enough and incapacitate Agnolia. When has Meredy's power been to where you can link other people to have all their powers boost each other. We seen her use the link to, link pain, but when has she been able to link other people so their powers get stronger? Because as far as I know, that was never in the story. That was never in the story. So they trap Agnolia, and for some reason, trapping Agnolia, the outside dragon form Agnolia, it stops the human form Agnolia in his tracks. Since the dragon form Agnolia is trapped in the fairy spear, the human Agnolia that's fighting Natsu currently can't move. So what does this mean? Perfect setup for One Punch Man. One Punch Man Natsu Dratnil. We have Natsu use the powers of the other Dragon Slayers. Agnolia says, I can't move, and gets one-shotted. And let me I took some screenshots. Let me bring up exactly what Agnolia said, because this was just the icing on the cake for how horrible these last chapters of Fairy Tail have really been. No. Let me go back. Before I get into that, let me go back to when this speech about what real dragons that Agnolia and Natsu had that made no sense whatsoever. Natsu says, besides, we're humans. The dragons gave us power, but we're still humans. And then Natsu goes on and says, real dragons, you see, are strong and noble and kind. And then Agnolia replies, kind, a dragon. The dragons that stole everything from me are kind. They devoured my family and killed little children, burned the city. And then Natsu contradicts himself, because before he said dragons are noble and kind. Then he says, dragons come in different types, just like us humans. Real dragons are likable, terrible, strong ones, weak ones. There are bad ones, there are kind ones, and ones that defeat you. And then all of a sudden, Agnolia's attacks weren't working on Natsu. Fast forward, get into the fight. When Natsu gathers all the dragon's powers, one punches Agnolia. And then this is what pissed me off. Agnolia looks at Natsu and he says, you are a king. Agnolia calls Natsu a king. A king. Natsu is a dragon slayer that technically has never slayed a dragon. But he's a king. The king of what is that? The king of all dragons? Because he had to use all. First of all, why couldn't the 7 dragon slayers, why couldn't they beat Agnolia all teaming up together? But all of a sudden, now when Natsu has their powers that they couldn't beat Agnolia with, the same attacks that had no effectiveness on Agnolia, it had no effectiveness. Now all of a sudden that Natsu has it, now it does some damage and kills him. One shot. Before, the attacks were doing nothing. He had not a scratch on him. But you're telling me now that Natsu has their powers, all of a sudden now it does damage. Am I the only one that sees what's wrong with that? The ending was too predictable, and it's the same old fairy tale shit that has plagued it for the longest. The people, why this is why people don't like fairy tale. The friendship speeches, friendship rules all. You can't have just the thought of your friends be the reason why you prevail over a fight every single time. It happens routinely. Routinely it happens. People think about their friends. I'm doing this for my guild. Blah 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 blah. One shot, one shot, one shot, one shot, one shot. People that enemies and villains that were previously destroying whoever is in a fairy tale, destroying them easily. All of a sudden, when they think about their friends, they're on edge, and they just get demolished. It's crazy. It's crazy. You know, it's just the ice on the cake. The worst villain in fairy tale, the most powerful villain in fairy tale, couldn't even stop the train of friendship, because I guess friendship is the most powerful weapon in fairy tale. Not fairy spill, not fairy spear, not fairy law, none of Natsu's fire, whatever, none of Locke's, nothing. Guild arts, nothing on friendship. Friendship, the most powerful magic in fairy tale. So after that, the chapter ends with everybody hugging it out, and like I said before, Kagura and Minerva with the comrade handshake, like they're best friends or something now. We have Natsu, Lucy, Evergreen, and how am I? Elfman hugging, Levy, Gajil hugging, all of that, you know. And one more chapter left. Next week's chapter is the last chapter of Fairy Tail, and I can assume it's going to be like the last chapter of Naruto, you know, showing maybe a time skip, showing, you know, all the pairings, because that's what everybody cares about at this point. Nobody really cares about the one ship, the one shots and the bullshit fights anymore, because the only thing to look forward to is the parents, to be honest. Me, I don't care, because I know how everybody's going to end up. I already know. It's not a secret. It's not like with Naruto, who's going to end up with Hinata, Sakura. We already know. Natsu and Lucy, Juvia and Gray, Evergreen, Elfman, Levy, Gajil, Happy, Carla. We already know. We already know. Urza and Jalal. But, you know, this was a way to, this last chapter was just the icing on the cake to solidify how trash Fairy Tail has been. And not even this last arc. I won't even say this last arc. Ever since the Grand Magic Games, it's been like this. Ever since the Grand Magic Games, it's been like this. And I'm not trying to hate on Fairy Tail, because there was a point I really did like the series, to be honest. I really did like the series. But it's been too many fights where, you know, friendship has been the only factor in someone winning, and that's not a good message to send to the fans. Friendship, with friendship, everything prevails. It's like a kiddie series, really. It's crazy, but you know, I'm done with this review. Satsuki the Savage. Like, subscribe, comment. I'm out, man.